down 1,000 times. I ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I'm standing right here. Demons all around, but I ain't got no fear.
All right, guys, we got a big one here for you. We are talking big name busts. Do not draft. Players to avoid. We've got 6 of them here for you. We're going to deep dive into why you need to stay away from these players. And in the studio, the one, the only, the great, the powerful, the mighty, the GOAT of all fantasy football, the king of the waiver wire, Mr. Jimmy, a.k.a. the Maverick. What's going on, Jim Maverick? What's going on, brother?
It's going great, man. Thanks. Thank you for that. That was very nice. It's a nice introduction. I appreciate it.
Huge. And you're becoming a fan favorite. People in the comments are saying, bring us Jim. We like Jim. They like Gwen, but they also like Jim too. So you've become a little bit of a fan favorite as of late.
Well, admittedly, I am better looking than her, but you know, I can handle that. I've had to deal with that my whole life. So yeah. So no problem.
They're definitely tuning in for your looks, not for your fantasy knowledge, Jim. That's for sure. We got an exciting one here for you guys. Again, we are talking about 6 names that are big time busts. We believe they're going to be busts. Their ADP is way too high. We're going to dive into them. But before we do, guys, there's 2 amazing things you need to do right now. You need to go to actually a couple things. Go to thefantasyfootballaccounts.com under programs, grab the 16-round draft solution and the 16-round plus tool. 2 amazing tools to help you guys crush your leagues. The draft solution is a principal cheat sheet, video training, everything you need where updated up until the season starts. And the Draft Tools, a web-based app you can open up. It's mobile-friendly, gives you so much intel on the top 250 players. Everything you need, guys. We're giving you everything to crush your leagues, guys. Head on over to thefantasyfootballaccounts.com. We've also linked the courses below. Jim, I'm ready, man. I'm ready to dive in, man. Oh, by the way, use code SMASH to save on 16 rounds. I have it below here on the banner. Jim, are you ready to dive into some busts, some players we don't like, some players we're not drafting, and the reasons why? I'm ready to dive into this.
Well, okay, yes, absolutely. But are we going to talk about the situation in Tennessee?
Yes, let's dive into that here. DeAndre Hopkins acquired, I think it's a 2-year, $26 million-ish, and I think there's up to $32 million in incentives. Hopkins on the Titans, do you want to dive in on what your thoughts are on this and the fantasy impact on all players around, including Derrick Henry, including DeAndre Hopkins, Tannehill, and everybody?
Yeah, let's talk about it because, obviously I think this is going to cause Hopkins' value to rise on the draft board from where he's going right now. I think he's going in like the 5th or 6th round. Right. He should probably rise from here. Everybody considers him, because he has been an elite wide receiver 1 for most of his career. But frankly, this is kind of a garbage deal for Hopkins. Let's run through the situation. First of all, he was released by the Cardinals. They didn't even try to trade him. They didn't even try to get anything for him. And now he gets signed on this 2-year deal, $13 million a year. That's less than OBJ's contract that he got with the Ravens. I'm thinking we're in a situation here where he could end up just being frankly, I don't think he has the durability to make it through a season. Not at this point in his career. He's a 32-year-old receiver, post-peak player on the decline phase of his career. He is a support player on this offense. He is not going to be the wide receiver 1. He's going to be the wide receiver 2. That's what all this information is telling me right now. I'm not concerned about this. And actually, this might help Treylon Burks because it's going to take some of the pressure off of him. It's going to take some of the coverage off of him. He'll be open more often. He is going to be a better player as a result. And he's a great value on the draft board right now. So I'd say I'm still in on Burks. I am not drafting Hopkins, but still take a chance on Burks. I think he's still worth it.
This is a tough one for me. Really, it is, because I was high on Burks, and I think it was really because of the belief in him, right? So he was appealing to me because he was the true wide receiver 1. And I guess for reality, it makes sense to get Hopkins, be a distraction, open things up for Burks. But I look at it the other way. I look at more volume going towards Hopkins, which, again, I do think he is a little washed up. It's very unlikely that a wide receiver who's been, declining for years is going to come back and have this huge spark. Once you see these wide receivers fall off, we've seen it many years, guys, with guys like Julio Jones, where, you start seeing a year or two where they start falling. I almost lost my mic there. I'm so excited. You see a year or two fall off. They never really spark and get back up. And I think that's the same thing with Hopkins. I don't think he's going to get back to that form we saw years ago in Houston. So I don't know. I'm just kind of turned off the whole situation. I'm a little more drawn into Derrick Henry, though. I think less stacked boxes is going to open things up nicely for him if he stays healthy. And Ryan Tannehill, if you're in deeper leagues, I happen to be in a super flex league where I got him as my QB3. So that's a little exciting for me. But Burks, I'm a little turned off. I dropped him a round or two in 16 rounds. I'm turned off of him. You think it's an advantage? Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Is it more of an advantage or a disadvantage, the fact that Hopkins there? Most people, I think, will say it is an advantage, which, again, makes sense. But I think from a volume perspective, you're losing out big time. You don't believe in Burks. And that's the thing. They don't believe in Burks. If they did, he's the true one, and they'll work around it. But they don't believe in him. That's my thoughts.
Well, I think, I mean, again, last year was a rough season for Burks, and certainly this is never going to be a high volume situation for Burks. I mean, we saw with AJ Brown for years, the dude only got like 110, 115 targets a year. That's about what I would expect from Burks if he plays a full season. And like I said, I think his efficiency will be better because he will be able to be open more often. You know, they really just had nobody besides Burks as a receiver on that team. They needed to get someone else in there. And so, like I said, I think this is overall a positive for the team. I was not thinking much of the Titans this year at all as far as what their prospects were. But now I'm like, you know what? They're going to challenge for the division. They are going to be right there with the Jags, and it should be an interesting battle between those two. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Good for reality. Fantasy, not excited. All right, so let's dive into these bust players to avoid. You've got the first one here. Let's dive into it. Let's start. I mean, let's get going. Round one.
Okay, so this first guy, again, he's a very exciting player. I mean, he makes highlight reels nearly every week. But the thing is, and he's attached to the best quarterback in the NFL. I'm talking about Kadarius Toney, currently going at ADP 109. He has played a total of 19 games over his first 3 seasons. That's it. That's all he's been able to play. And when he finally got put on the team with Patrick Mahomes, he received a total of 27 targets over 10 games. I'll let you do the math there, counselor. How many targets per game is that on average?
I'm not good at math. You tell me.
It's 2.7 targets per game.
I know it is. I'm still not good at math. I know it's that low. It's bad. I know.
Yeah, I mean, and people are drafting this guy thinking he is going to explode this year. In year 4, this will be his 4th season in the league. I'm sorry, guys, it's not going to happen. He's a gadget player. He is a special teams player. He will make some great plays this year, I have no doubt. But to draft him at this point in the draft, we're talking 9th round. No way. It is not going to pan out. It's not going to happen. Kadarius Toney is not that kind of player. So stay away from him. Absolute bust. Total waste of a pick at this point in the draft.
Years to wow me, and guess what, Jim? I'm not wowed. That's it. Injury concerns, obviously, always going to be there, spreading the ball around. Give me Rashee Rice later. Give me someone that's got upside. Some of these rookies even that are coming in have more upside than him. Again, I'm just not excited. Now, there was some news that broke as of late. I heard a buzz. I don't know whether it was on Twitter. I get, information constantly, whether it's on Discord or whether it's my DM or what. I'm constantly getting information. I read somewhere where Pat Mahomes is really praising Kadarius Toney. But I think that's just politics. They always talk about, hey, my guy's the best. My guy's this. No, he's not. He's not the greatest. It's hard to. They think he's going to be the next Tyreek Hill on the team. That's not going to happen. I'd rather take my dice roll on Rashee Rice much later. More upside.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, anything out of the mouth of any coach or any player at this point in the season is worth nothing. It is zero. It is just, you're just trying to hype up certain players, get their name out there, get the beat writers talking about them. It doesn't mean anything. They will show it on the field. You'll see it in preseason. You'll see it when training camp opens. That's all you need to look at. Look at what players do. Don't listen to what people say about players. Watch what they do when things start happening. So, but Kadarius Toney is never going to be anything more than a gadget player who occasionally has a big week because he'll get a touchdown or two. It'll be exciting. It'll make the highlight reels, but he's not any kind of player that's going to give you any sort of volume that you can rely on a week-to-week basis for your fantasy team. So
Jim and I are both out. And that's the thing with this list, we pretty much agree. Now, we had a talk, I think it was Gwen and Tim tend to disagree with me. They're part of the Consheepsis. And so is Connor. And maybe we should bring Connor on the show here because we can have a debate with him. But have you met Connor the Sheep yet, Jim?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have seen him. Yes, I haven't met him.
We'll have to bring him on the show. Maybe as we get to the third pick, maybe we'll make an appearance. I don't think you've officially met him. So maybe we'll have an appearance right now, Jim. You're going to be excited to meet Connor. So we'll bring him on because he tends to disagree with us. But you and I are agreeing in this episode. So it would be nice to have a little bit of back and forth with Connor a little bit for a little segment. So maybe by the third pick for your next pick, we'll bring him in. Okay. All right. So that's a little sneak peek, a little intro. Just a heads up, though. So my next guy here, Jim, a guy that I'm staying away from, is Davante Adams. I mean, Davante Adams gets a downgrade at quarterback. He's old. He's early draft capital. I mean, 2 pinnacle years coming off these Cinderella years. Listen, I'm just not going to invest in a wide receiver who I think is primed for some volume, right? Josh Jacobs may hold off this year. Who else they got there? They got Renfro. I don't even know who's even there. So there is some opportunity for him to kind of shine, but Jimmy G has not done anything with wide receivers in the past. I'm not expecting anything new this year, just for the fact that he's had amazing pinnacle years and he's constantly getting downgraded. Last year had a huge spike. He had like 180 targets with Carr. Not going to happen this year. I don't believe in him. Again, over the hill. You could say, well, no, he's not because he had a good year last year. Yeah, I know he's still got juice left in him, but the downgrade at quarterback, because quarterbacks make wide receivers a safe play, but I think he's going to be a big disappointment this year, Jim. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean, really, when it comes to wide receivers, they're only as good as their quarterbacks. And when you look at the situation with Garoppolo, it's not encouraging, man. Dude failed his physical. I don't know what the situation is as far as, what does that mean for the offensive scheme? Who is even the backup to Garoppolo? I don't even know who the backup is. That just makes me super nervous. I mean, when what we're talking here is a second round pick, and certainly Davante Adams is one of the best in the league. He's one of the best receivers in the league, but you can't make something from nothing. And it just feels like there's a big problem here as far as expecting Davante Adams to be able to repeat anything that he's done over the past few years. And I think he's going on name recognition. People know who he is. I'm just thinking it's a very bad situation, very troubling.
I disagree with you. Hello, I'm Connor. Nice to meet you, Jim. Is this our first meeting?
Yes, it is.
Well, I gotta tell you, your opinion sucks. Yeah,
yes.
You heard it right. Davante Adams is the best. Why is he the best? Because he finished on top last year, and he's gonna do it again. So, suck it.
Well, why don't you go join your little herd and have fun in there because we got other things to talk about over here.
Well, you're not very nice at all.
Nope, not at all. Not to you.
Well, I gotta see. Well, you know what? Let me hear your next pick, and then I'll get Joe back on because he's giving me a dirty look. So you give me your next pick, and I'll decide whether he is a bust or not. You tell me who your next pick is.
Okay, I can't believe I'm dating. I can't believe I'm debating. Debating. I can't believe I'm debating a sheep right now. Okay, so my next pick. Okay, for very potential bust potential here is Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints, currently going at ADP number 81. Now, this is his legal issues are not done. He pleaded no contest.
I hope he smacks you for saying that, just like he smacked the guy in the bar or wherever he was in Vegas. I hope he beats you senseless.
Hopefully not. I would not enjoy that. I do not want that to happen. But he pleaded no contest. And for those of you that don't understand the legal system here, that basically means he admits that he's guilty. He just doesn't want to fight it in court. So he admitted guilt in court by pleading no contest. Now the NFL Rules Committee is going to come down to him. They're going to lay down a suspension. It's going to be at least 2 games. But given that there's a videotape of him beating the crap out of this guy, I'm thinking it's going to be more, probably 4, maybe up to 6. So that's 1 strike against him. Strike 2 is they brought over Jamal Williams from Detroit, the guy that scored 18 touchdowns last year. Yeah, that guy. He's currently going at ADP 90 right after Alvin Kamara. Certainly is going to be the lead back when Kamara is on suspension. And they also drafted Kendre Miller. And so we've got three capable running backs in this backfield now. Taysom Hill is still there, going to be sniping away those goal line opportunities for him. This is just a really bad situation. He's 27 now. So, I wouldn't necessarily say he's going to be cliff diving here at this point, but he's close. He's close to the end. And I'm just thinking, no, thank you. I don't want Alvin Kamara. I don't want any part of him this season.
Yeah, whatever he said, I disagree. Because Alvin Kamara, remember years ago, we had him as a top guy, and we believed in him. And we believe in all the Concheapsis rankings. Anyways, I gotta go. My herd is calling me. Whatever Jim and Joe says, I disagree. Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Oh, my goodness. That's enough of Connor there. I think that's enough. Anyway, Jim, what do you think of Connor?
I hate that guy.
That's what I've had to deal with for years because it's all copy and paste. And he was just on with Gwen on the show, and now he's biting on my ankle here. I gotta get out of here. Okay, so what I was gonna say, Gwen was on this show, and we asked how he came up with Jonathan Taylor as the first overall last year pick, and he basically, you know what he told me, Jim? He Googled it because he looked at who the top finishers were in 2021. And he basically, that's how he gets his answer. He was a great Googler based on last year. Anyways, enough with Connor right now. Alvin Kamara, I think he should be, really penalized. He didn't get as much punishment as he should have gotten. I'm not drafting. I'm staying away. Anyone looming suspension, it's a no for me. I know Connor would draft him, but for me, it's a big no. Completely.
There you go, man. I agree. What's your next guy?
What's this I hear you're dating Connor?
I am never gonna live that down. That's it. That's it. I'm never gonna live that down.
He's taken. He says he's not interested. He's not interested in lions. He's more interested in sheep. So
I'm taken too. So I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble with the missus. So
dating livestock. All right. So anyway, next one is Tony Pollard. Now, there's a lot of hype around Tony Pollard this year, understandably so. He had that torn, what was it, fibula? Was it a fibula? It was a leg.
No, he broke his leg. He fractured. I think he fractured his fibula, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did that with Zeke handling 200 plus attempts. Now, I'm a big believer in Deuce Vaughn, who's going to get integrated more, who can be a workhorse. I know he's small, but in open field, that guy is so good. Pollard will be a committee with these guys. I really feel it will. I could be wrong, but Tony Pollard is in a great position to succeed. Good offense, good situation, kind of labeled the workhorse. But again, if you got a guy who is like a backup for 4 years, it's very unlikely he becomes a starter. Again, I keep going back to Ekeler being that anomaly. I'm trying to make a compelling case here that he's not a workhorse guy. He never was a workhorse guy. And even with half the workload, he got himself hurt. I'm not sold. And I could be wrong. This is the one I could be wrong on. But just for the fact that I've got all these red flags, and all these question marks, and all the years to wow us, we're not wowed, always being a backup, that for those reasons, those flags, I'm going to be fading him. Do not draft Tony Pollard. It's a waste of an early round pick. He reminds me kind of like a DeAndre Swift of last year. Everyone had him top 8. And the only reason he's top 8 is because he had good numbers last year. He finished there. It's very unlikely. I think it was an anomaly year. And yes, the situation does seem like it's opened up for more for him, but I think more is worse for him because I don't know if he'll be able to handle it. Do you like Pollard?
Well, I got to say, he's in a great situation. He's in a much better situation than Davante Adams is in. Let's put it that way. Yeah. But you're right. I'm not sure there's much room for him to take on more work than he already is handling. So somehow the thought process of him becoming the workhorse when you had Zeke handle over 200 touches last year, I think is very unlikely. And we have seen positive things. It wasn't just last year that he was good. Every year he's been increasing his workload with his offense. So he's building trust with the coaches. He's building trust into the game plan, but he's not a between the tackles guy. He's a finesse player, right? He goes out, he's the third down, catch the passes, you can get him out in space, get him out on the sides. So I think that while he's good, the broken leg has me concerned because that immobilizes. You basically got to immobilize that leg for a couple of months, like 6 to 8 weeks, and then there's what's the word I'm looking for? Where the muscle just kind of reduces, and I'm drawing a blank on the
think of the
name.
word. I can't even think of it. No.
Yeah. But anyway, so he's got a muscle imbalance right now in his legs, and that can lead to soft tissue injuries like pulled hamstrings and such. So I'm really got to wait and see what happens during training camp. Is he a full participant? Is he participating in series during the preseason? If I see that stuff, he'll get better in the app. Right now, he's rated terribly on the app because he's got the injury designation. That doesn't go away until I see these sort of things happen in real life. And if that happens, he might move into a kind of a soft recommend for me. But right now, I'm staying away until I actually see what he's able to do.
And there's more in breaking news. There was a day or two ago. No long-term deal expected for Tony Pollard. So they're having contract. He's trying to get. I think he'll be franchise tagged, but he's looking for a long-term deal. He's not going to get it. So I think that's a big issue there. I don't know if there's going to be a holdout. I don't think there'll be a holdout, but there is some contract issues. So, $10.1 million is set to make. He's supposed to make $10 million in 2023, more than 3 times his career earnings to date, though. So he at least gets a nice payday, but there is no long-term security, which he likes. So he just like Josh Jacobs and Saquon, everyone else is looking for that long-term deal, and he's not going to get it. So is that going to play an issue? I don't know.
Yeah, you're right about that too. I don't think he's signed his franchise tag either. So we'll see what happens with that as well. That would be another big red flag if he has not signed his franchise tag or negotiated a longer term deal.
So I'm wondering, is it going to be another holdout? Like, I don't know. But either way, Deuce Vaughn, I'm starting to like him more because they got him young. And if they can, it almost feels like they want to see how these younger guys do, right? They know they can. And that's why, like, where's Kareem Hunt? Why is he not getting picked up? How about Leonard Fournette? How about Zeke Elliott? Why aren't these guys getting picked up? Why? Because I'll tell you why. Because they can get younger guys to do the job. And I think it's a touch and feel thing. They really want to know what they've got with these young guys.
Right, yeah. So, but right now, I'm thinking Tony Pollard could move into, if these issues get resolved, and like I said, we see him out during the preseason and stuff. I think he could move into, being a recommend. But for right now, I'm not going to touch this situation. There's just too many unknowns, too many questions, and we need some more clarity. So that's where we're going. That's where I'm going right now.
All right, we got the next one here for you.
So my next one was very disappointing for me. The NFL draft really kind of broke my spirit with this player because he was so fantastic last year. Such a great pick, such a great value, and became an every week starter once he finally took over the role in the backfield. But I'm talking about Kenneth Walker, currently going at ADP 36.
Big letdown with Charbonnet being acquired. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and so. But before the NFL draft, really, Ken Walker was my number one pick overall. I was like, Ken Walker, no matter what, I'm taking this guy first overall. And then, in the second round, they draft Zach Charbonnet with basically the exact same amount of draft capital that they spent on Ken Walker the year prior. Charbonnet is a better pass catcher. And what I'm seeing here right now in this backfield is it's sort of like the Denver split between Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, right? Where they were like basically a 50-50 split every single week. And so with that sort of split, I think Ken Walker is a very bad value at his ADP right now.
Agreed.
But on the flip side, I love Zach Charbonnet because Zach Charbonnet is going at ADP 103. And I'm like, dude, if he's getting half the work in that backfield, he's going to be an outstanding play for that sort of draft capital where he's going. And so I love Ken Walker. I think he's a very exciting player. He's a some of his touchdown runs just were like blowing me away when he was somehow able to evade and break and then bust into the end zone. I was blown away by this guy's play. But frankly, I just don't think he's going to get the volume necessary to be worth a 3rd round pick, which is where you got to take him. I'm not going to be taking him in any situation. So that's where I'm at with Ken Walker.
If you're in a situation where you feel it's going to be a split, even if it's 60-40, and it probably will be to begin, right? Walker 60, Charbonnet 40. I might as well take the value in round 8, 9, 10, wherever I get Zach, right? Get him later.
Yeah.
And getting the second half of that committee, maybe even a more durable version of Kenneth Walker, because we saw Kenneth Walker get hurt last year. That's the reason he blocked me. If you guys don't know the story yet, it was like, I don't know what week it was. He got hurt. He ran off to the sideline, I think it was like a non-contact ankle or hamstring or calf thing. He missed a game or two, and I ripped into him like, dude, like no one touched you. Like, get back on the field, right? Like, what the hell's going on? And sure enough, he blocks me. So I'm wondering if the Seahawks don't know something, why would you invest such an early draft capital in a workhorse running back that could easily be a running back 1 on a different team when you've got a running back 1? You got other needs to address, right? So I don't know, man. I just don't trust Kenneth Walker this year. I got really sour, what's that word? Sour taste in my mouth, basically, after I found out that they acquired Charbonnet. So for that reason alone, I'm staying away. Give me Charbonnet later, which I've got in one of my leagues, so I'm excited.
Sounds good.
Last one here, Jim. Do you want to see Connor or no? You don't. No more Connor for you today, right?
Nah, I'm done with Connor. Let's just leave him out to pasture.
Because I hear him. He's kind of off. He's kind of like ran off there, and he's kind of like humming things, and he's a little disgruntled with this episode. So I put him back in his little cage over there, and he's really bitter today. So because he's not agreeing with any of these picks. So, but no more. You're done with him. All right. So let's go in here with Austin Ekeler as my last one. I'm staying away just for the fact, again, I've talked about, I want to sound like a broken record. I want to sound like I've said this so many times and people are like, Joe, we already know you don't like Ekeler. Yeah, I really want to hammer this home. Here are the reasons, okay? Austin Ekeler is a backup. He's always been a backup. He was a product of a good offense and he did well in those offenses. So I cannot deny he did well. Okay, he was a backup, always been a backup. If he wasn't a backup, if he was ultra dynamic, if he was a really good running back, he would have got paid that big deal. He didn't. He's 28 years old, okay? Running backs at 21, I will take 22, 23, 25, 26, 27, maybe. 28, forget it. You're done. You're washed. It's done. Your running backs are a dime a dozen. I could draft a rookie that could outperform you and you could be a plug and play. Bottom line, you did well. Joe Lombardi loved you. I don't know whether you had some sort of side deal with Joe Lombardi. He just kept feeding you these checkdowns. Justin Herbert was not throwing. He was a broken wide receiver core. You had 127 targets, which was like a top. You were tied with Mike Evans last year, and he's a wide receiver. Not going to happen again. It's not going to happen again. And everybody's drafting him strictly predicated, Jim, on last year. That's it. They're just this is a simple copy and paste. And they're not factoring in everything I just said. Everything. And the acquisition of Quentin Johnston. Are we forgetting that they drafted a wide receiver in the first round? They're going to be thrown downfield in a contract year with Herbert. Guys, new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, different situation. I'm staying far away from Ekeler. I hope he busts hard this year. I really do.
Yeah, it's the end of the line for Ekeler. I mean, he has been outstanding the past couple of seasons, and good for him. Congratulations to him. But I'm first of all, you're right. Talking about the volume he got last year in the passing game, he primarily got it because Keenan Allen missed like half the season. Mike Williams missed more than a few games, and so there was opportunity because there was no other receivers available. So that's not going to happen now that Quentin Johnston is there. So his passing volume is going to plunge. And then also his yards per carry, it's going to drop below 4 yards per carry. This is what happens to running backs when they get over the age of 28. They just drop below that threshold. And then they become like, if they're high volume, they can kind of maintain some production. But usually what happens is they just fade away because they can't produce. And so the team doesn't rely on them and reduces their role in the game plan. It's what happens to these older running backs. So just based on the fact that he is 28 now, this whole situation with the passing game, you know that they're going to be passing like crazy this year to the receivers. And Quentin Johnson is a great option this year. So I just can't see any upside for Ekeler this year. It's all downside risk. And you don't want that with your first overall pick. That's a bad place to start from with your first overall pick. He's my lowest scoring Cuddy score player in the first round. I don't want anything to do with him. So,
I just reinforce our point home here. I looked at his stats, okay? 2022 was his number one year in targets, 127. The only time he came close to that was 2019 with 108. He never sees those targets, ever. And when you look at it from a reception standpoint, top of his reception game, 107. He's never seen it. The closest he ever got was 92, again, back in 2019. From you look at it from a yard perspective, right? His yardage was number one in his entire career. He's never eclipsed 1,000 yards rushing. He had 915 compared to the 911 he had in 2021. Okay, touchdowns. Again, 13 touchdowns. The closest he got was in 2021 with 12 touchdowns. Prior years, 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown. He was never a big touchdown guy. The last 2 years been pinnacle. And last year particularly, he pinnacled in all those categories. So coming off pinnacle years, you know the story. Historically, these guys just don't do it again. Not sold on. Look for Isaiah Spiller to take a step up this year. Was not utilized. I think he was drafted 3rd or 4th round a year or so ago. Again, Lombardi was brutal. Just never utilizes guys. If these guys want to make a deep dive run, they got to throw the ball, and that's what they're going to do this year. That's it, man. 6 guys to avoid, players to avoid, Jim. I mean, Connor would disagree with us. I really feel he would, but we don't really care what Connor thinks. And I'm glad you guys got to meet today.
Sounds good, counselor. And go ahead and kick Connor for me because I don't like that guy. Get him out of here.
We're gonna have to bring him back on for another show. Maybe we'll do like a consensus top 10 running back show. We'll have him host it with a bow tie or something like that. All right, guys, we're out. Jim, thanks for coming on. And those are some players to avoid. Hope you guys get some value out of here and stay away from these guys. We're out.